Have you ever built a machine learning model that worked just perfectly on your laptop, only to watch it completely fall apart in the real world? Yeah, you are definitely not alone. Today we're going to tackle MLOps, which is really the secret sauce that turns all those promising AI experiments into robust, real-world solutions. Okay, let's get right into it.
So let's start with the big one. Why is it so darn hard to get a machine learning model from your computer into the hands of actual users? I mean, if you've ever tried it, you know it's a journey filled with all these unexpected twists, hidden problems, and honestly, more than a few headaches.
All right, let's really unpack that question by looking at the typical machine learning workflow, because this is where the cracks really start to show, long before your model ever gets close to production. We're going to pinpoint the exact spots where good models, well, where they go to die.
Now, on the surface, this looks deceptively simple, right? Get some data, build a model, deploy the model. Easy. But as we're about to see, the reality is it's way more complex, and each one of these simple-sounding steps is a potential minefield. Okay, let's start at the very beginning, the data. You know, we've all heard the saying, garbage in, garbage out. But what about when you get new data, or better data? How do you know exactly which data set was used to build which version of your model? Without that critical link, what we call lineage, you can't reproduce your results. And in the world of AI, look, if you can't reproduce it, you can't trust it. Simple as that. Now let's talk about the build model stage. This is where the real fun and, let's be honest, the real chaos kicks in. You're trying out different algorithms, you're tweaking all these parameters, you're experimenting with endless combinations. It's a total whirlwind of trial and error. So, how do you keep track of what actually worked and what didn't? If you don't have a system, you're pretty much just throwing darts in the dark, hoping you hit a bullseye you can't even see. Okay, so you've somehow managed the chaos and you've built a model you're really proud of. Now what? Well, getting it into production is kind of like trying to merge onto a 6-lane highway during rush hour. You got to check your blind spots with technical validation. You need the green light from the business folks, and then you have to carefully merge into traffic with staged rollouts. Just slamming on the gas and hoping for the best? That's a recipe for a massive pileup.
And you know what? Even after all of that, your job still isn't done. The real world is always changing, and your model has to keep up. This is what we call model drift. You know, maybe the definition of credit card fraud evolves. That's concept drift. Or maybe your users change. That's data drift. Either way, your once amazing model can become totally useless practically overnight.
So, how do we tame this beast? How do we deal with all these challenges? Well, the answer is MLOps. It's the framework that brings order to all that chaos, it brings reliability to the unpredictable, and it brings speed to the entire machine learning lifecycle.
And here's the absolute key idea. If you're familiar with DevOps in software development, you know, stuff like automation, version control, continuous delivery, then you're already halfway there. MLOps is really just taking that same disciplined, battle-tested approach and applying it to the unique world of machine learning.
You know, at its heart, MLOps is so much more than just a set of tools. It's a cultural shift. It's all about breaking down the walls between data scientists and IT operations, getting them to speak the same language, and really work together to automate and streamline the entire process, from that first idea to real-world impact. It's about teamwork.
So what's the end game with all this? It really just boils down to 3 simple but super powerful goals. Build better models faster, get them into the hands of users faster, and make absolutely sure they stay reliable and effective once they're out there in the wild. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds like a lot of work. Is it really worth the effort? Well, let's talk about the payoff. The very real benefits that make MLOps pretty much non-negotiable for any serious AI team out there. I mean, the transformation is just stark. We're moving away from a slow, manual, and fragile process to one that's fast, automated, and robust. You're going from a little science experiment that's really limited in scale to a full-on enterprise-grade system. And you're swapping that ad hoc kind of murky governance for a process that is fully auditable and totally transparent. So let's zoom in on what this really lets you do. We're talking about managing thousands of models at scale, not just a few. We're talking about the kind of reproducibility that would stand up to the strictest audits. We're bringing the power of CI/CD, that's continuous integration and delivery, to machine learning, ensuring strong governance, and really paving the way for more responsible and trustworthy AI.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but what does MLOps actually look like? How does it even work? Let's get our hands dirty for a minute and explore the core things you'd find in any modern MLOps platform. A really powerful MLOps platform is basically your command center for tackling every single challenge we've talked about. Remember the chaos of experiment tracking? You solve that with reproducible pipelines. Worried about those risky deployments? You get a central registry to package and safely deploy your models. And that data lineage you need? It automatically captures all the governance data for compliance. It even alerts you to critical things like model drift, which lets you automate the entire lifecycle, from training all the way to retirement.
So, we've covered the why and the what. Let's wrap this all up with the how. If you're ready to build a truly world-class machine learning practice, here are the essential best practices that are gonna get you there.
First up, stop building one-off models. Instead, create reusable pipelines that let you iterate and improve at lightning speed. Second, automate, automate, automate. I mean it. From deployment to retraining, just let the machines do the heavy lifting. Third and fourth go together. You can't fix what you can't see, so monitor everything: your model's performance, your infrastructure's health, and especially for any signs of data drift. And finally, build in trust from day one, with automatic audit trails for complete transparency.
So I'll leave you with this one question. Is your current machine learning process actually built for the future? Is it ready for the speed, the scale, and the reliability that tomorrow's challenges are going to demand? If not, well, it's time to get serious about MLOps. Thanks for joining me.